Lewis and Kovacic, Bernardo Silva, Alvarez, Foden and Haaland. No Rodri, completes his domestic suspension. So what about it before we get underway, Peter? I think it's a tough one to call.
It is. It's a really, really tough one to call. You would think that Manchester City is a better team, but Arsenal have been playing really, really well, getting really good results. And sometimes you have to look at what's happened elsewhere today. Every game so far today has been a draw. Could it be 4 out of 4?
Well, the Manchester City players are in their huddle and now break away from that. Ederson trots back into the goal to our right. This weekend is one of the no room for racism weekends, so we will have the taking of a knee before kick-off. The referee's Michael Oliver, and in dappled sunlight it is Arsenal against Manchester City. This is 5 Live from the BBC, 5 Live's Premier League Sunday. Listen as well via BBC Sounds and the World Service as the players now take a knee, and the Arsenal fans in full voice. Up they get, and there's the first touch of the match. Manchester City getting the game underway. Mateo Kovacic with the first touch, passing the ball all the way back to his goalkeeper Ederson, who clears it long downfield, in fact all the way downfield, and bouncing through for a goal kick to Arsenal. To the new number one around here, David Raya, Peter, taking over from Ramsdale.
He has, yeah, and by the looks of it, it appears to be Arteta's first choice. So there is a clear ranking order here. The whole idea about the competition situation, I think that's already gone. Also, at the moment, we can see that Ake is actually playing central to Ruben Dias, and Bernardo Silva is playing in Rodri's position as a number 6. So that is how Pep has chosen to line up his team today in trying to surprise Arsenal.
Ake goes back to goalkeeper Ederson. Yep, so there we are. It's Bernardo Silva, who played as a left back here last season. Now he's playing in the Rodri role. Very different physically, those two, but that's where Bernardo Silva started. Therefore, Rico Lewis is actually playing in the same position as he did in the Champions League, and did so well against Leipzig on Wednesday night. So here is Bernardo Silva then in that role. You'd have no qualms about Bernardo Silva being able to play there, Peter, would you? So comfortable on the ball.
What a great player, what a great service he's done to Man City as well. No, he's a fantastic player. He hasn't got the physicality as Rodri, but then again, no one has. But he will do a good job, I'm sure about that.
And he's seeing a lot of the ball in the opening seconds of the game. Bernardo Silva, it's Manchester City in the sky blue shirts, white shorts and sky blue socks against Arsenal. Red shirts, white sleeves, white shorts and white socks. Really good noise. Everyone here, all the Arsenal fans, only too well aware of. Ake is clattered into by Gabriel Jesus. Just dwelt on the ball, and Jesus, just a little over exuberant, took him out. Free kick, no more than that.
No more than that. He knew straight away that he'd been a bit clumsy about that. Ake, fair due to him, went straight up and nothing was made of it.
Yeah. So Ake playing alongside Dias as the central defenders, and Gvardiol again as the left back. I presume at some stage Gvardiol will become a frontline central defender, but not yet. Still easing him in. Pep Guardiola, who's all in grey down on the edge of the touchline. Pep Guardiola, who has won all of his matches, all 7 matches against Mikel Arteta's Arsenal when they've met in the Premier League. Arteta's had those 2 successes in his first season, in the FA Cup semi-final against Manchester City, and then the Community Shield on penalties. But in the league, he's not won a point against Manchester City. Arsenal going back to goalkeeper Raya. But of course, all that is history. This is a new chapter being written today. Ben White playing the ball back to Raya with his right foot, moves it onto his left, and then clears it and gives it straight away to Gvardiol, who then plays it in field, but it took a deflection and rolls into the path of Declan Rice, who passes it out of play. That's a little nervous. Played it behind Zinchenko.
Yeah, that's why Raya's been brought in, because he apparently is a lot better with his feet than Ramsdale is. Again, I mean, it's a similar pass that he did on Wednesday in Leipzig that actually cost a goal.
Yeah, and a careless header, a bouncing ball, Declan Rice trying to head it across to Zinchenko, and he's actually headed it out of play, and that is a very cheap corner for Manchester City from the far side. The Manchester City right. It's going to be swung in left-footed Erling Haaland near the penalty spot. Diaz is up there as well. Gvardiol too. Here's the delivery deep to the back post. Gvardiol. Oh, and it's headed off the line. Gvardiol with a shot. He was stretching for it, falling, and it was headed away. Haaland nods it through. Chance for Ake. Lifts it over the crossbar. Under pressure from Ben White, who was there with him. But 2 chances there for Manchester City, and Arsenal survive.
Yeah, Arsenal didn't really concentrate on this corner. Gvardiol at the back post. I think it's Declan Rice gave the corner kick away, who saves it on the line, and then they don't regroup. The ball is headed back in, and Ake, he had a 1-to-1 with David Raya, and he put it way over the bar. What an opportunity missed there, John.
It was double chance, and the second opportunity Ake did well, brought it down, but he just was leaning back. So it's still 0-0, and it's Arsenal trying to mount an attack forward as Gabriel Jesus forces Gvardiol to concede the throw-in down in the Manchester City left back position. BBC World Service are with us. This is 5 Live from the BBC, and Arsenal with the ball in the centre circle. A couple of anxious moments there. It was, as Peter Schmeichel said, Declan Rice it was who headed it off the line after Gvardiol with the initial shot at the back post in the 6-yard area that bounced up, and then the follow-up from Nathan Ake. So an early let-off for Arsenal.
And how Arsenal's lined up with Trossard actually down the middle, and Nketiah on the left, and of course Jesus on the right-hand side. And every time they have the ball, and that is no surprise, Zinchenko comes inside and takes a midfield position. So
Guardiola was trying to keep Arteta guessing, but there's one back from Arteta as well. With although as we say that, Trossard does actually go back over to the left-hand side, and it is Nketiah now who's forcing Ederson to pick up the ball. But we might see that movement as we have there. Ball back with Ederson. All of the Manchester City supporters, many of them in the sunshine, gathered around the corner on the far side, the lower tier of the Emirates Stadium here at the clock end. City playing it away from the back. Bernardo Silva, and then back down into the right back position where Diaz was closed down by Nketiah, manages to force the pass forward, and it is given as a Manchester City throw for Kyle Walker. Zinchenko is out there as well, but it is Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0, and Walker will take this throw, still waiting, and then turns and throws it all the way back to his goalkeeper Ederson. So Manchester City, after the earlier results, Manchester City in second place in the table, Tottenham top of the league, and Liverpool now in third after their draw against Brighton, and Arsenal currently in fourth. But the ball out of play, Arsenal pressing well, they've got a throw in, force Kovacic to prod it out of play.
Second time Manchester City actually loses the ball, in the last third, the defending last third. It's a little bit too casual for my liking. It's like they think they can just pass their way out of every situation, and now twice within 2 minutes they've actually lost possession.
Arsenal it is, with Saliba just rolls the ball out towards the far side.
John, am I right in saying if Arsenal wins this 3-2, they are top of the league with Tottenham on same goal scored, same goal difference, same conceded?
That's a good question, Peter.
Isn't it?
That is a good question.
I think it's right.
So we'll revisit that when we get to 3-2. Here's Ake. Ake passing it forward towards Gvardiol, who turns, but challenged strongly by Jesus, and then Odegaard gets involved. It bounces back to Ake, left-footed ball forward. This is one for Haaland to chase. It bounces infield past Saliba, who slipped there but manages to recover and plays it forward to Jorginho, who immediately got rid of it out to the left-hand side to Zinchenko. He sets the full-back off over the halfway line, but City are very quickly back into position there, and Arsenal have to go back into their own half and play it back to Saliba. That's the first time Haaland and Saliba have been up against one another.
Yeah, and he got away with one there, Saliba. That took like an awkward bounce, and Haaland was pouncing on it. Let's see what happened here. Yes,
ball played out to Jesus on the right hand side. Jesus against Gvardiol into the area, forcing him wide. Gvardiol does his job, and it's just to get his feet in front of the attempted cross, and the ball bounced out of play for whether it's a corner or a throw-in. It sort of disappeared over the top of the corner flag. I think it is a corner because Odegaard's coming across to take it. So it's Arsenal's first corner.
It's a really good opportunity. Jesus took a little bit too much time. There was so much space, and it had been a bit quicker. He could have had a shot at goal, but he waited, and of course the cross was bounced out for a corner.
Yep, and Gvardiol retreated extremely effectively. So Odegaard for Arsenal, unbeaten still in the Premier League this season, although of course lost in the Champions League in midweek. Odegaard, left-footed delivery into the 6-yard box, a glancing flick headed on by Nketiah, but I think it took a touch of a defensive head as well. And Manchester City, Kovacic, now Foden. Here's Lewis centrally, but Trossard got a touch on that to send it back to the centre circle. And now it is Jorginho, his first start in the Premier League this season. Havertz among the substitutes. Jorginho lifts the ball over the top for White. White pulls it down, crosses via a deflection into the penalty area. Nketiah back to Odegaard. Odegaard closed down by Lewis. Square from him to Jorginho. Now out to the left-hand side. Zinchenko is there. Odegaard was trying to get into a position there that he loves on his left foot outside the box. And then the ball played to White, who'd strayed offside, and it's a free kick to Manchester City.
Arsenal are taking advantage of a lot of space on the left-hand side. A fantastic pass from Jorginho out to Ben White. I thought Ben White should have crossed the ball there. He had players making runs in the box. Instead, he chose to a little short one, and they had to go back again. And eventually, the ball ended up with him again, and he was in an offside position.
Manchester City with the ball at the back. So Bernardo Silva playing as this holding player in the absence of Rodri. They played Mateus Nunes and Kovacic there last week when they lost at Wolves. That's not been repeated, and now Foden trying to wriggle away with the ball to the halfway line. He's been manhandled, and Michael Oliver has immediately pulled out the yellow card. And that's a statement from the referee there. And Foden was being blatantly pulled back by Jorginho, and it's a yellow card.
Yeah, and he's got no case there. Foden was on his way, unchallenged towards the goal, and he brought him back. He took one for the team, and rightly so, was booked for his efforts.
It is Aberdeen 0, St Johnstone 0 in the 3 o'clock kickoff in the Premiership, incidentally. Earlier, Rangers won 3-0 against St Mirren to go above them into second place on the table as Arsenal win the ball back on the halfway line. It is Gabriel who does well, gets it down. Now the ball on the left-hand side with Trossard. Martinelli is on the bench, by the way. Should mention that if you've just joined us for the start of the match, after 5 matches out. So no Saka, but Martinelli is a substitute as he makes his return. Arsenal are forced to go back towards the halfway line. And then back it goes into the centre circle to Saliba again. Ben White's available here, but Saliba turns and gives it to Gabriel over there on the far side. And Arsenal are retreating here. In fact, they've almost retreated back towards the edge of their own penalty area. They're passing the ball from man to man across the back line, and indeed now they do go back to David Raya, the goalkeeper, all in black with the biggest white gloves you've ever seen. Long right-footed ball all the way through the middle, but way beyond Nketiah and through to Ederson at the other end.
They look very big from here, don't they?
Look like something out of Star Wars. Here's Diaz now to Rico Lewis on the halfway line. But Bernardo Silva, Peter, when you think yet again this summer, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? He wants to go. Not sure if he's maybe going to go to Saudi Arabia. And he then stays, and you'd never know that there'd been anything of an issue. He's very constant like that, isn't he? It doesn't affect him, all of that sort of thing.
I think he wanted to go to Barcelona. So, when that doesn't happen, you stay where you are. I understand that players want to go to Barcelona because they're actually moving up. And if you can be part of that, rebuild, and he definitely, with his qualities, he could. But it's interesting when he plays in that position. When Arsenal, they've got the ball, they're actually just staying quite solid in that sort of 2 number 6 players. They're not chasing the ball as much as Rodri would, and they're quite happy for Arsenal just to have the ball.
Yeah, Arsenal retreated, and Manchester City couldn't find a way through there. Arsenal win the ball back. Not seen a great deal of Alvarez yet, who is playing on the right-hand side with Bernardo Silva in the central role. Raya plays the ball to Gabriel, long one downfield for Nketiah to chase against Ake, but Ake, who played so well last season, one of the top performers for Manchester City, the unheralded Ake coming back into the team.
I think Ake is one of the most improved players we've ever seen in the Premier League. When he came from Bournemouth, everyone was a little bit surprised that he was actually making that. He was part of that transfer, and he could get to Man City, and he wasn't really being played a lot in the beginning, but what a player he's turned out to be.
Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0, and Manchester City just coming forward. Diaz shuffles over the halfway line, ball back to Ake in the centre circle. I noticed that Bayern Munich are in action this afternoon as well against Freiburg. They've just got underway, and Bayern have taken an early lead. Kingsley Coman, the goal scorer, not Harry Kane this time. As Raya comes forward and gathers a ball, sliding out onto his knees. Arsenal get rid of it quickly. White to Jesus, and Gvardiol's tight in, quickly in to put the ball out of play before it ran to Jesus.
Yeah, it's a funny one with Gvardiol on the left-hand side, because at times he looks very comfortable in this situation. He was very, very quick in getting the ball out for a throw-in, stopping Jesus going forward. But a couple of times already this half, he's looked a little bit uncertain of his job, his role. What am I supposed to do in this situation?
Yeah, just watching him now as you were speaking, Peter. Gvardiol just looking over his shoulder just to check and see where Jesus is. And as Arsenal have possession inside their own half, Gvardiol was very quickly across, almost on the shoulder of Jesus, who's next to the white line, near the halfway line. Arsenal still in possession inside their own half. Yet to really get going, but Manchester City had those two very early chances, good chances as well. Rice heading off the line from Gvardiol, and then immediately after that, Ake shooting over when he could easily have shot into the net. Odegaard flicks it forward towards Nketiah, but that didn't work. Ake for Manchester City, and then Alvarez just skips away from Nketiah, who might have had a little nibble at him there. Alvarez, then in comes Rice on Alvarez, sliding in. Fair challenge, but they're letting Alvarez know that he's there. He's a threat as well this season. He started the season brilliantly. Alvarez, the World Cup winner, with 6 goals for him already this season.
Yeah, and it's clearly somebody that Pep Guardiola wants to be to have in his team as one of the driving forces. So he's playing him regardless of how he performs, but he's performed really, really well.
Sensing it's the time to have him in the team.
But that, I think that's Pep's strength. He has a great understanding of when.
Yeah.
So when is a player useful for the team at the maximum output?
Alvarez just scampers away there. Heavy touch though, gets a second chance. Alvarez playing it across the edge of the penalty area. Walker with the cross, but it's straight into the hands, those big gloves of Raya at the near post, and he caught it in front of his Adam's apple.
Yeah, just finishing what I was saying there before that attack happened. So not only does he know when a player is at his very, very best, he also knows when the player or when players needs to be moved on. And that is the most difficult thing I can imagine for a manager's perspective, because you always have favourites. You always think, oh, he might be able to do a job for me one more year, but he just lets him go.
Yeah. Arsenal playing the ball across their own penalty area. Oh, that was so close. Raya looking to clear it away. He moved the ball onto his right foot. Alvarez was in like a flash and deflected the ball just past the foot of the post. I thought for a moment he deflected it into the back of the net, but it's a goal kick. But Raya's got to be careful. That could easily have been the opening goal.
That should have been the opening goal. I am not sure what Raya's doing there. So he gets a ball off is a Gabriel on the left. It goes, he takes it across goal. He doesn't get all the way to the inside of the goal when he's being tackled. It's right by the post and it hits the side netting. I mean, that would have been a major mistake. And would you believe it, the director of the TV production, straight away he cut to Ramsdale.
Of course he did. Ball up to the halfway line, and Jesus is fouled by Gvardiol. This is 5 or 6 yards inside the Arsenal half, and Jesus is just rolling onto his back. He's holding his right ankle, and the crowd here are trying to get onto referee Oliver, who's already booked Jorginho. They want a yellow card for Gvardiol, but Michael Oliver's not having it yet.
No. And if you take Saka away from this discussion, I mean, Jesus is a player who's really hot at the moment, has played so well, scored goals, created goals for Arsenal. It's very clear that Pep has said, we've got to stop this player. You stop Jesus in this game, then we've solved a lot of problems. There's no Saka, so if you stop him, you've stopped a lot of good happening. And it's clear that Gvardiol has been told to, as soon as Jesus gets near the ball, get tight.
Yep. Jorginho plays it up to Nketiah. Gets his head to it, but Gvardiol's able to hook it away with his left foot. Arsenal with Jorginho. Jorginho then passes it back into central defence. In fairness to television directors everywhere, Peter, the last match here against Tottenham, do you remember when Raya made a couple of great saves and the TV director focused in on Ramsdale applauding above his head when he was sitting on the bench? But
that was some save. That wasn't it?
It was an excellent save. But that I'm afraid is the way of the TV world.
But what he did just before was the complete opposite.
Yes. Here is Saliba playing the ball back to Raya. You know, they won't change. This is the culture. So he's not going to be rattled by that, and Arsenal aren't going to be rattled. Gabriel gives it back to Raya, but he's keeping an eye on whoever's close to him. It's Lewis this time who's the closest, and then it goes back into the Arsenal right back position. Haaland putting Saliba under pressure. Ball up towards Jesus, halfway inside his own half. He's got 3 Manchester City players around him. Bernardo Silva's one of them. They've nicked it away. Gvardiol to Diaz. Ruben Diaz now through the middle, still going, and then overhits the pass. Well, that was most unlike Manchester City in a position like that. Diaz really looked as though he was in several minds about what to do with the ball.
Yeah, it looked like he was lining a shot up. It was 30 yards out, so it would have been, would have taken some shot to beat Raya from there. But then I don't know if he gave the whole team the eye and was trying to sort of dink it into Phil Foden. He certainly didn't get that he was doing that. He thought he was going to shoot.
So it is still Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0. Choice of listening at the moment is the Cricket World Cup is on Sports Extra. India chasing 200 to win their opening match, the hosts. So that is on Sports Extra right now. But Rugby World Cup later, and also the Qatar Grand Prix you'll hear on Sports Extra. Here on 5 Live, the 606 phone in. Long ball forward for Manchester City, which bounces through. Ben White was there with Foden, who ended up sliding onto the ground, but it bounced through to the goalkeeper. Manchester City have got it back again. They're having a good spell at the moment, but Rice was in. Rice to beat Lewis to it, but then overhits the pass forward, and Manchester City have got it back.
Yeah, that was a fantastic pass from Kyle Walker in his right back position to a very good run by Phil Foden. It was just a yard too long for him to get at the end of it. Had he done that, that would have been a big chance. And then, of course, we saw Rice winning the ball there. He's been a little bit quiet.
Yep, he has. Kovacic is almost caught in possession, but Foden is there as well. At the moment for Manchester City in this match, there always seems to be another man there for Manchester City as they go back to the edge of the area, and it's Bernardo Silva who's running the ball out from the back to the centre circle, uses Rico Lewis, who turns away from Trossard, and now back towards the halfway line to Ruben Diaz. A little pass from him. Lewis turns, just opens his body and looks forward as he receives that with his black hair bobbing. Then Bernardo Silva back to Nathan Ake, long hair down the back of his neck. Ake to the left hand side to Gvardiol, closed down by Jesus, so back it goes towards the halfway line. Most of the match played between the 2 penalty areas, but Manchester City have had those 3 big opportunities. Arsenal, really, in terms of creativity, 21, almost the first quarter of the match gone. Very little from Arsenal. Gvardiol now as Manchester City come forward again. First cross is blocked, then a right-footed ball is misplaced in between the 2 Manchester City players over there, but it's still Pep Guardiola's team who have possession of the ball. Bernardo Silva turns and gives a little one through the middle. Rice was in quickly, and then Nketiah is fouled, and the yellow card comes out for Bernardo Silva, who points at his chest as if to say, a yellow card for me? And they're still talking to one another. Yeah. But Michael Oliver was certain.
That was the first mistake that Bernardo Silva he made in the whole game. It was a bad pass. It got intercepted. And he's trying to win it back, and it was a clear foul, and he's got no case on the yellow card. That was warranted.
So that's interesting that Bernardo Silva in that position should have picked up a yellow card with 3/4 of the match to play. That will be noted by Mikel Arteta. Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0, and more at half-time on the earlier 3 draws in the Premier League. We brought you commentary on all of them in various places. Ball played out by Raya. Manchester City have got it back. Bernardo Silva to the right-hand side. It's slipped across from Alvarez. Arsenal are able to clear. Comes back to Alvarez on the right-hand side. Worked it over. Lewis then flicks it at the near post, but Raya's able to come and catch that quite comfortably.
Yeah, that's the second time that Raya has he's messed up with his feet. So before he was trying to take the ball across the goal. This was a pass straight out, straight down the middle of the pitch, but just outside the penalty box, and it got intercepted. Sometimes, the goalkeeper looks a bit silly by doing that, but sometimes we don't know what he's been told.
Yeah.
He might have been told to do that. I think it's very, very risky, and so far it hasn't worked out well for him.
Well, it's a bit like Onana at Manchester United, isn't it? Like Raya, the intelligence is that they are goalkeepers who are exceptional with their feet, but that doesn't mean to say it can't go wrong.
No, and it does go wrong now and again. We saw that earlier in the game with Liverpool, Alisson passing it out to Van Dijk, and then waiting for the ball. Van Dijk, he actually made a really bad pass that was intercepted, and Alisson was out of position. It was rolled in.
Gabriel challenging Haaland on the halfway line. Haaland crashes to the turf, but the ball sails over the two of them. Arsenal with it on the left-hand side with Trossard, who goes back towards Zinchenko. Over there in the sunshine, Trossard and Zinchenko, Trossard with his blonde hair, are remarkably similar. Here's Odegaard, the blonde-haired Norwegian, to Jesus on the right-hand side, who's up against Gvardiol again. White makes the run, but it goes back to Odegaard on the edge of the area. But Manchester City are already in position. There's a wall of sky blue there. Jesus fouls Foden inside the penalty area, took the ball on, but the whistle had gone. Free kick, Manchester City.
It's a free kick, and there's a lot of joy to have for Arsenal on their right-hand side, attacking side, the side where Saka normally plays, and you just think, how would that have been if Saka had been there and you had Jesus in front of goal? Jesus is clearly not the same player, but it's something that Arteta will have a look at. That you can exploit that really well.
Yeah, they're missing him, as they would do. Martinelli on the bench, we might see him later, but really we've seen little or nothing of Trossard on the left-hand side as Manchester City, through Ruben Dias, slices the ball up in the air out of play. It's a throw-in. That's a little win for Arsenal. Zinchenko throws it back into his own half. Gabriel back to Zinchenko, who curls the ball forward. Oh, it's missed by Dias, and Nketiah in the box on the left-hand side. And Nketiah, right foot shot right across the face of goal. Ederson diving to his left. I'm not sure how close that was, if at all, to bending in the far post, but it's something for Arsenal.
It's something for Arsenal for sure. It was a mistake by Diaz. He misjudged the ball, and then Nketiah just took it down, cut it inside from the left-hand side, didn't get any bend on the ball towards the far post, and it was about 5 yards wide.
No, it certainly didn't threaten the Manchester City goal. And it is City who've been the better team, and then Lewis is fouled by Nketiah. And they're saying there was a handball in there, the Arsenal supporters down in front of us, but I'm not sure how much of a handball there was. It's a free kick to Manchester City. Almost half an hour played. Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0. So yes, more to come at half-time on Brighton 2, Liverpool 2, West Ham 2, Newcastle 2, and Wolves 1, Aston Villa 1. Odegaard charges down the ball from Ake. That's out of play for a throw to the visitors, and Odegaard, the captain there, whirring his arms at the crowd in front of us here, trying to get the crowd going. And that tells its own story, that the captain feels that they need the crowd to help them here.
Yeah, they need a little bit. It's a bit stalled, but it's the two top sides, and it's going to be a little bit like this. I think we all expected that.
Nice from Jorginho. Lovely, gives it to Zinchenko, approaching the area, left-footed ball in, but that's headed away by Diaz. Comes out to White, chests it down, gives it to Jesus in the full-back position. Foden jumps, but Jesus hasn't crossed it yet. Back to Jorginho, who was given not much of a chance with that. Did well in the end, actually, Jorginho, to control it and play it back to the halfway line. It might have gone for Arsenal.
But why didn't Ben White shoot? I mean, he was no pressure. The ball got crossed from the left-hand side, and it ended up by the corner of the penalty box at the right-hand side, and he was unchallenged. Why didn't he shoot?
Kovacic in from behind, near the halfway line on Odegaard, and he has clearly fouled the Arsenal captain. The yellow card is already out for Kovacic. And with Michael Oliver walking over, he's just going to check first of all. He's not rushing into this. I guess he's wanting VAR to have a look at this and see what they think. But I think yellow card it will be, and only a yellow card. But Odegaard, that's the concern for Arsenal here. They do not want an injury for him. There's the yellow card now.
Oh, he is clearly in some pain. It was a really bad tackle from behind. I don't think it's enough for a red card, but they are looking at it. I've just seen it from a different angle now, and he's coming in. I actually think this could be reversed to a red card. He's coming in from behind, straight onto Ødegaard's ankle.
He's late on it, and he is showing his studs as he slides in.
This could be a red card, John.
And he catches him on the inside of the ankle, round about the ball of the ankle, and that forces Ødegaard actually to go over on his right ankle as well. It's
a painful.
I think it's borderline.
No,
you think it's
staying on a yellow card?
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Do you think red?
No, I think it's pink.
Right. There we are then.
It's when I first saw the tackle and the first replay they showed on the monitor, it didn't look that bad. But then there's this one angle where you can see that the studs are raised and it's straight down on Ødegaard's ankle, and he twists his ankle as well. And that's of course what's painful. He's actually up now and walking okay, so that's a good news. But I think Kovacic got away with one there, and I don't think that he should commit many more fouls in this game, because he would be off, I think.
Yep. Here is Kovacic then. Well, the Arsenal fans to our left make it very clear that they think that should be a red card. I suspect it's one of those. Jesus now down the right hand side. Gvardiol tight on him, brings him down. Gvardiol is again playing the innocent here, and I think he's suggesting that Jesus has made more of that than he could have done. It is a free kick. Yeah.
No, well, it's a free kick, and again he's very, very tied in on Jesus. I think what happened there was that when Jesus actually fell over, it looked a little bit sort of rough. When he fell over, he actually fell down on the ball, and maybe it's just a little bit winded. That's what actually I can see. That's what he's complaining about. It wasn't so much a foul and a yellow card asking for that.
That's a free kick and no more. That was not a yellow card offence. But these Arsenal fans are doing what Ødegaard has asked them to do, and they're whipping themselves up and they're appealing for everything. It's a free kick, false start. Then Ødegaard left-footed into the near post. Oh, it's dropped by Ederson, but he's gathered it on the bounce at the second attempt. And it is still Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0. But certainly that challenge, that'll be a talking point. That's one for 606. Everyone will be divided on that. I think personally, I feel yellow card was. I don't think it merited red, but
no,
I wouldn't be at all surprised
I think you're right, but it just looked a little nastier once I saw it again. And you can at times understand the referees when they see something in the game and then they're very, very close to it, and they say, well, it's a free kick, yellow card, and if they go to the monitor, which he didn't this time, Michael Oliver, goes to the monitor and sees it from a different angle, you might just change your opinion of what had happened. Yeah. But he didn't this time, and you're probably right, yellow card was warranted.
Yeah, well, John Brooks, the VAR, has backed up Michael Oliver's view on that as a yellow card. So it is Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0. BBC Radio 5 Live and the World Service. Here's Walker. Walker's got some space on the right-hand side. He approaches the area. He's into the box. A little pass. He was looking to get it back, but Declan Rice was able to put a foot in and clear it away for it. And Nketiah at the chase to the halfway line against Diaz, and the two of them slid in there together, and Nketiah conceded the throw in. But you can hear the reaction to that. Eddie
takes me back to the days where I played, where a tackle was celebrated like a goal scored.
Well, you had one or two in your team.
I know, but the fact of the matter is that not a lot is happening. It's a very, very tight game. Arsenal are defending with a very high line, and the front players are very close to that line as well. So it's very compressed, and there's no clear-cut chances, and there's nothing really happening in any of the penalty boxes. So, the fans are here. They need to celebrate something, and in this case, it was a tackle.
But this is, well, I feel we're watching an Arsenal game plan here from Mikel Arteta, knowing that they're up against the dangerous Manchester City, albeit without Rodri, without De Bruyne. He knows this is pragmatic from Arteta without Saka and Martinelli. He has a long one forward towards Haaland through the middle, who's been able to get the ball down and then play it to Alvarez, and Alvarez shooting high got right underneath it from 21, 22 yards out, and it sailed away over the top of the crossbar. So Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0 here in North London. But in faraway Chennai at the Cricket World Cup, come in from India, Simon Mann.
India are 32 away from victory, John, but Virat Kohli is out. Fine partnership of 165. We've just been caught at mid-wicket off Hazelwood for 85. Rahul is there on 75. India 168 for 4 in the 38th, needing 200 to win.
And that is on Sports Extra right now on your digital radio or via BBC Sounds. If you missed it earlier, Rugby World Cup, it finished Japan 27, Argentina 39. So that means Argentina will play Wales next weekend. We'll have the quarterfinals covered for you on 5 Live. Don't miss that. As Rice is fouled by Kovacic. And you can hear the reaction from the Arsenal fans here. They know Kovacic is on a yellow card. Martin Odegaard has gone to referee Oliver. And Michael Oliver is going to call Kovacic over. Kyle Walker is speaking as well to the referee as the Manchester City captain. Now Rice is okay, he's on his feet, and Michael Oliver is saying that's a free kick, but it's no more than that.
Oh, I'm not sure about that, John. I am not sure about that. It was a nasty tackle, another nasty tackle. So that's 2 in very, very short space of time.
What's he thinking of, Kovacic?
I honestly don't know. I don't know. It's very, very silly. I mean, to go down with 34 minutes played, go down to 10 men. I mean, Pep would do well to take him off now, or risk going down to 10 men.
Free kick. Raya strikes this long downfield, still 0-0. And then ball bounces to Foden. He wasn't sure where it was for a moment. It's very tight in there. Foden's gone down as if he's been caught in the face by Ben White. And the ball runs away behind the dead ball line for what is given as an Arsenal corner. Foden's still on the ground. Ben White just comes across, leans over to him, just taps him on the shoulder. Foden climbs to his feet. He's got his hand to his nose, and now he's just wiping his forehead with his forearm. It's a corner. Nothing more than that. It was actually Gabriel Jesus who was just sort of as he swung his arm out, caught Foden in the face.
That's what happens. There was no malice in that.
No. Corner to Arsenal. But this has got a bit of spice in it. It's a building rivalry, this. Odegaard plays it into the near post. It's headed away by a leaping Alvarez. Comes out to Arsenal and then back towards the centre circle. Pep Guardiola calmly gives an order with an outstretched arm. Odegaard plays it back to Jorginho on the halfway line, who's going to turn and play it all the way back to Raya. That's 1 or 2 to our left. I'm not terribly happy about that direction of play. Raya then to White, who heads it infield, but that is played out of play by Alvarez off Jesus for a Manchester City throw. 0-0.
You're right. There's a little bit of spice in this game, and I'm quite happy that Michael Ollie was the referee. I think he's doing really, really well. As soon as the crowd goes really, really wild, he just steps back from the whole thing, just walks away. He walked away from that challenge that Kovacic just did before, which I think should have been a yellow card. Walked away from it and called him over to him, probably said 1 more and you're off. But it kind of calmed everything down. With
all of the furore about officialdom in this country at the moment, he's certainly right up there in terms of our best officials. Here's Jesus on the right-hand side. Jesus plays it behind Odegaard, but it's going to fall all the way to Jorginho. Jorginho on his right foot, then to Trossard, but quickly closed down. Lewis was in, and the chance had gone. And Haaland now plays it via a deflection back to Ben White. And Arsenal come again. And it is Saliba. Jesus again on the right wing, White on the overlap, but Gvardiol goes to ground, gets a long left leg in to put it out for a throw down the right.
There's space to play in for Arsenal on the right hand side, but as soon as they get to the penalty box, it's very compressed. And I think that Jesus, in that situation where he could have crossed the ball, he picked the wrong option. He cuts it back for Jorginho to have a shot, but he didn't take the shot. He should have crossed the ball. There were players in front of goal.
Throw in White to Jesus on the dead ball line. Odegaard in the area trying to find a position. Plays it back to Zinchenko. Low shot from him. Blocked in the area. Zinchenko again. Also blocked by a defender with his left foot. And then it bounces away and City could be away on the counter-attack. Lewis plays it forward, but Haaland's gone down. Haaland went down, even though the ball was nowhere near him, after going shoulder to shoulder with Saliba. And referee Oliver says play on.
Clever play by Saliba. So So Haaland is making a run, which actually would have put him 1-on-1 with Raya, and Saliba just stopped running. So Haaland ran straight into him. Absolutely not a foul, but just clever play by the defender.
Well, we're right behind Pep Guardiola here, and as he turned round, I'm not sure who he was signalling to. Maybe it was someone on the bench behind the Manchester City substitutes, but the Arsenal supporters are onto him down now. Jesus now into the box. Odegaard with a flick, but he's flicked it straight to Kovacic of Manchester City, and then Gvardiol nutmegs Odegaard with a pass out. Lewis does well, and now Haaland's onto the ball. He's 10 yards inside his own half, but he's got his head down, the Norwegian. Haaland through the middle, then gives it to Alvarez. Alvarez in possession. Haaland through the middle, but it's hooked away by Gabriel. Crucially, almost threw back to Haaland. What was he, 8 yards out? That would surely have been 1-0, but Gabriel was able to clear it. Arsenal still haven't cleared their lines. They have now through Zinchenko.
Great counter-attack by Manchester City, and the ball eventually ended up with Kyle Walker. It's a great cross into Haaland, or towards Haaland, but Gabriel overhead kick cleared it. What a clearance that was. That surely would have been 1-0 Man City.
But the teenager Lewis is certainly catching the eye again after his excellent performance in the Champions League on Wednesday night.
He looks very strong, very composed, doesn't he?
Very.
He looks, you give him the ball in tight areas, and he's finding solutions with that, at the same time as being physical in midfield.
Wants the ball. Pep Guardiola said in midweek after that match, he's one of the best players I've ever trained with, and here he is again, hair bobbing, gives it to his left to Foden. Now Gvardiol down the left hand side, swings it across. Raya didn't get there, swung an arm at it, was over the top, might have touched his fingernails, but at the far post it was bundled behind by Zinchenko for a Manchester City corner.
A great cross to a great pass to Gvardiol on the left hand side. He crossed it first time. Raya trying to come for it, doesn't get it, but I think he's putting Haaland off. So in a way that was kind of okay, and then of course Zinchenko then clears it out for a corner kick, and it's a corner kick for Man City now.
Foden to take it. That's Peter Schmeichel with us on BBC Radio 5 Live. 5 minutes of the first half to play plus added time. Foden raises an arm, left-footed ball into the edge of the 6-yard box. That's headed away for Arsenal by Saliba. Gvardiol has managed to keep the ball, but with Jorginho all over the back of Gvardiol, the Croatian decides he's going to play it all the way back to goalkeeper Ederson, who then passes it brilliantly forward to Gvardiol on the halfway line. Ake's ball, though, is just lifted.
There you go, John.
Yeah.
If you want to take lessons on how to do it from the goalkeepers, from the passing from the goalkeeper, well, you only have to look at Ederson.
He's the top of the tree.
Oh my God, how good is that?
Yeah.
I mean, that pass, it's very, very risky, but it's so accurate, and straight away Gvardiol can work with that.
Arsenal now building from the back. White, and then Jesus on the right, looking for White to continue his run, but Ake was able comfortably to get there first, and it's back to Ederson, having just praised him. He's able to knock the ball onto his left foot and pass it away to Foden. Now Bernardo Silva weaving away from Eddie Nketiah on the edge of his own penalty area. If you've just switched on, it's Bernardo Silva today who's playing in the Rodri role. Full time in Scotland, Aberdeen 0, St Johnstone 0, and it's now 2-0 to Bayern Munich. Harry Kane did start the match, but Leroy Sané has scored the second after Kingsley Coman scored the first, so Bayern Munich winning 2-0. Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0. We will have more interviews for you at half time from the earlier matches. Brighton 2, Liverpool 2, if you're at that. We might be hearing from Jurgen Klopp. West Ham 2, Newcastle United 2, after that brilliant night for Newcastle on Wednesday at St James's Park. We were both there, Peter. That's a good result, isn't it, off the back of that?
When you have a night like that, and you are at that height, 4-1 against PSG, unbelievable, and the crowd, I mean, everything was just perfect that night. And then the next game you have to go away to West Ham. You honestly can't find a worse game to follow that. Yep. It's so difficult to play against West Ham.
Good point for them. And it finished Wolves 1, Aston Villa 1. In the Women's Super League, the earlier final scores: Brighton 0, West Ham 2. Finished Manchester City 1, Chelsea 1, Tottenham 3, Bristol City 1, and 2 more matches to be completed today. Here, Manchester City coming forward towards the halfway line. We will hear from Jurgen Klopp at half-time, by the way, and from Roberto De Zerbi as well, and Gary O'Neill too. So that's all to come at half-time on 5 Live. But Arsenal bringing the ball out from the back with Zinchenko. It's left to Trossard, who plays it infield. Jorginho just got that away from his former teammate Kovacic, the two former Chelsea men. Now Odegaard to the right-hand side to Jesus, but Jesus just slows it all down. Manchester City it is who've had the big chances of the first half. A talking point whether Kovacic should have received a red card for his challenge on Odegaard. It was only a yellow from Michael Oliver. Here is Saliba of Arsenal, who just drags it back and plays it infield towards Jorginho. Kai Havertz only on the bench for Arsenal today. Gabriel then strokes a left-footed pass forward towards Zinchenko. Trossard and Zinchenko at close quarters. Little ball in. Declan Rice up in a very advanced position near the edge of the penalty area. Again infield from Trossard, and Nketiah trying to turn, but under pressure. City players either side of him. And Nketiah, who's not scored in 6 appearances, incidentally, Eddie Nketiah, after his 2 goals early on in the season, he's able to find the ball back to the halfway line. And now Saliba. Jorginho drops almost alongside him. Odegaard, he turns, rolls it out to the right-hand side. Jesus is there, White available further forward. It goes infield. Jorginho, Odegaard, nice play from him. And Nketiah was in an offside position. He could have let Odegaard take it himself, but Nketiah stepped in, and it's offside.
He ran into an offside position, and on his way back, the ball came his way, but it was a touch from Odegaard. He was on his way to the goal line, and he just picked the ball up, and he was offside. I mean, it's very difficult to break through either of these defenses. They're defending really well, and they're defending in very, very solid, tight blocks. So when you get the opportunity, don't give it away by doing something which is so clearly avoidable.
2 minutes at the end of the first half being played of added time. Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0. Beautiful afternoon. Can't believe some of the weather in Scotland this weekend. The golf, by the way, the Dunhill Links Championship, no play again today because of rain, so they're going to finish it tomorrow. You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it's the same country. Manchester City.
It isn't.
It's the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Peter Schmeichel. Here's Lewis on the halfway line. Plays it back towards Diaz. Diaz just pulls it onto his right foot. And now Lewis in field. Bernardo Silva. And now Diaz for Walker. Walker low and infield towards Foden. Tight in there, Foden. And in fact, he is fouled.
It's going to be interesting to see what Pep is thinking now, and what when it comes to Kovacic. But clearly he cannot commit any fouls now, because the next one is a yellow card and he will be sent off. So who's he going to bring on? Is he going to take him off now? Who's he going to bring? He's going to bring Stones on, play midfield?
Well, Mateus Nunes is a possibility.
Nunes is not, but I think that's just going to be a little bit too much for him in this kind of game.
Yep.
He could also put Akanya on and put Walker in midfield.
Or it could be Calvin Phillips.
I don't think he'll do that. I know we talked about him pre-game, but I mean, the evidence
would
so
suggest
far
otherwise.
Yeah.
Right.
It would be the natural thing to do, wouldn't it? Really.
Well, there is the half-time whistle. So no goals. Certainly talking points. Big chances early for Manchester City. Rice heading off the line from Gvardiol's shot. Ake, that was the big chance, really. The chance immediately after that, when Ake, in the middle of the goal, lifted it over the top. Raya very nearly was caught out by Julian Alvarez, and was very fortunate to get away with that. But then from an Arsenal point of view, the question was whether it should have been a red card for Kovacic for his foul on Odegaard. But Manchester City have been the better side, Peter Schmeichel.
I think they're in control. Let me put it that way. I don't think we can use phrases on being being best or good. It's been scrappy. It's been a midfield battle. We talked about that pre-game. It's everything is it's very tight, played around the centre circle, plus minus 10 yards. And of course, when the talking point is 2 missed chances in the first 5 minutes, and then should have been a red card or not. that tells the story of this game, doesn't it?
It does. So half-time, Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0.
Peter Schmeichel, the only thing that would surprise me more than the fact that Kovacic hasn't been sent off yet would be if he were to re-emerge for the second half.
I totally agree. I mean, unless he think they're strong enough to win this game or get something out of this game with 10 men, I don't see the point. Kovacic is not a player that he plays in every game anyway, so he might just cut his losses now, and then, I mean, it would be brilliant to see someone like Calvin Phillips on. I don't think he's going to do that, but it's his position. He plays that position for England. He played that for Leeds. It's been absolutely tremendous in doing that. I think he probably will. I mean, my feeling is going to probably put Akanya on and put Walker in midfield instead. Just think keeping it tight at the back and then have that kind of physicality in midfield.
Maybe he'll surprise all of us and Kovacic will come back. We've got this from Tom on 85058. Says, City fan here. Kovacic very lucky not to get a red with the first one. How on earth that second one wasn't a yellow, I don't know. People complain about VAR, but that was a terrible on-field decision. Now, not everyone necessarily will agree with that, Peter, but it is a good point. VAR is the question that people will ask for the first one. For the second one, I suspect quite a few people will wonder how on earth he hasn't got a yellow.
Yeah, so VAR can't do anything about the second one because that's a yellow card. They can't do anything about that. It's only about red cards. So, I mean, it should have been a yellow card for sure. Absolutely. It's nearly as bad as the first tackle. I have no idea what Kovacic is thinking about. It's about 7, 8, 10 yards outside of Arsenal's box. It's in a completely irrelevant area of the pitch. If Declan Rice passes the ball out to, I think it was Ben White, it has no impact, no significance on the game. So he's just been booked. It's gone to VAR for a potential red card. He knows he's on the brink. What on earth is he thinking? I don't know. He's a very, very lucky boy.
Yeah, I think everybody would agree on that. Kovacic staying on for how much longer? We'll wait and see. We'll bring you second half commentary, of course, from here at the Emirates. Pulsating first half. Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0. At one point, India were 2 for 3 against Australia. But have they just gone and won it, Simon Mann?
Yeah, they've waltzed to victory. They've won by 6 wickets with 8.4 overs to spare, and they've done it in the grand manner as well. KL Rahul hitting Pat Cummins over extra cover for 6. Rahul was 97 not out from 115 balls. They got a wiggle on towards the end. They hit 3 sixes. They were thinking about their net run rate. Hardik Pandya came in and hit a 6 as well. Virat Kohli made 85, a stand of 165 with Rahul, rescuing India from 2 for 3 after Australia were bowled out for 199. The hosts and favourites have started with an emphatic victory over one of their major rivals.
Simon, thank you very much indeed. Right, we'll bring you as much reaction as we possibly can to the 2 o'clock games in the Premier League, and then we'll look ahead to 6:06. The lines will be open shortly. We'll let you know as soon as they are. Much more Premier League to come after the latest news on 5 Live with Carl Hartley.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Steve. Israel's military says it will restore security to its people.
We will do whatever it takes to protect our people and restore security to Israel.
At least 600 people are now known to have died after an attack by Hamas militants. Yesterday's assault was the largest by Palestinian forces for decades. In the last hour, the Israeli Defense Force held a press conference warning it will find Hamas militants hiding in Israel and Gaza. Daniel Hagari from the IDF also has a warning for those who support the group's activity.
Israeli intelligence indicates that Hamas are hiding among Gazan civilians inside Gazan homes and schools, hospitals and mosques. Hamas behaves like ISIS. I repeat, Hamas behaves like ISIS. It's the same strategy to maximize civilian casualties in Gaza and Israel and make you all forget the massacre of hundreds of Israelis that started this war in the first place. We will not forget. Hamas terrorists target Israeli civilians. Israel will target Hamas and Islamic Jihad terrorists wherever they will be in Gaza.
Well, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been speaking to world leaders, including the UK's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak today. And in the last few minutes, Rishi Sunak has said that he's told Benjamin Netanyahu that the UK will stand with Israel against these acts of terror. Well, the Health Ministry in Gaza says 370 people there have been killed by Israeli airstrikes. Israel has now cut off electricity, food and fuel supplies to Gaza. The BBC's Rushdie Abu Alouf is in the Gaza city.
Today they started to feel the reality that it's a war, and war, people in this poor, densely populated place, they knew well what war would mean for them. Back in 2014 there was a war for about 50 days, and now with the electricity supplies not working, internet, Israel shut all of the border around Gaza, and there is a fear of very soon we will have some sort of serious humanitarian crisis if food and medicine and electricity don't come to these 2.3 million people here.
It's been confirmed a British man has died in Israel. Nathaniel Young from London was working for the Israeli Armed Forces. Another British man, Jake Marlowe, who was working as security at a music festival, is also missing. Israel claims more than 100 civilians and soldiers are being held hostage by Palestinian militants. Amit Papara thinks his friend is one of those after seeing her on a video being taken to Gaza Strip. He says security forces need to act quickly.
Time is of the essence, and this is our main priority right now, getting people back home safely as soon as possible before it's too late. All of the acting up that is now happening is from civilians, private groups that are combined together to help the people get back together.
Here, the Home Secretary says she expects police to use the full force of the law against displays of support for Hamas in the UK. Last night, video shared on social media appeared to show people in London celebrating the group's attack on Israel. There's a full coverage of this over on the BBC News website, where there's analysis of the story as well. In other news, briefly, Labour's Deputy Leader Angela Rayner has promised what she called a new deal for working people to increase wages and make work more secure if the party wins the next general election. And Boris Johnson's former wife, the barrister Marina Wheeler, has been appointed as Labour's advisor on protecting women against workplace harassment. The party says she'll look at how to make it easier for workers to blow the whistle on bullying and discrimination at work.
This is 5 Live Sport with Steve Crossman
on 5 Live. Listen on BBC Sounds.
Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0 here at the Emirates. Second half commentary on the way. Already today, Brighton-Liverpool ended 2-2 in our first commentary match on 5 Live. Lewis Dunk equalising for Brighton. Here's the moment things went wrong for Jurgen Klopp.
With 2-1 up and producing that many set pieces, that was the problem. When Mitoma, I don't know who else, Solly March came there as well, of course, came there, so everybody was like walking through, and we always had to put a foot in, and in the end we were always a bit late, so that's something we have to improve. That amount of set pieces is really tricky to defend them all, and we defended them nearly all. If we scored the third one, we would have deserved to win. No, we didn't, and that means I think it's the right result.
Roberto De Zerbi, by the way, said afterwards he thinks even though Brighton, in his opinion, were the better team, them conceding so many goals is his responsibility. West Ham Newcastle also finished 2-2. Eddie Howe's team were winning until the 89th minute. With the number of matches that his team are playing in Europe, he says these drop points are expensive.
Yeah, we're disappointed because we worked so hard to get ourselves back into that game. We started poorly by our standards, a bit of fatigue from the midweek games, I think, and although we prepared for it and tried to not have that in our game, it was there, it was evident, but what a response second half. I thought the players were magnificent, and yeah, we're kicking ourselves that we haven't won the game.
You mentioned the fatigue in the first half, Eddie, but it was so much more in terms of energy in the second half. What did you say at half time to get your players back in the mood?
I said lots, but I think that goes to show psychology is just as important to physical fatigue. There's mental fatigue, and for me, maybe then the first half has to go down as mental fatigue, and so there's stuff to learn from. These are new experiences for us. the amount of games, the high-profile nature of the games, and then dealing with them and then coming back into the Premier League is difficult. I have to compliment the players today because it's been very easy to come out even more negative in the second half. But what a response, and I was desperate for the players, for all that they gave, that we won the game, but it wasn't to be.
The other game finished Wolves 1. Aston Villa 1. I'll try that again. Wolves 1, Aston Villa 1. Molyneux, 08085 909 693. You can get your calls in right now for 606 with Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage. Afternoon, Rob.
Afternoon, Steve. Interested in listening to Eddie Howe there. Didn't West Ham play on Thursday in Freiburg?
Yeah, I know. Everyone's got a lot of football, haven't they? I'll tell you what, I absolutely guarantee, regardless of what's happened already today, regardless of what happens in the next 45 minutes, you're going to be talking about Kovacic and that non-red card.
Yeah, listen, I've not heard the commentary, John and Peter, but really interested. Listen, the first one for me, whatever the situation, Kovacic should not be on the pitch. Whether the first one's a straight red or a yellow, it's definitely a yellow, which the ref gave, but the second challenge is definitely a yellow. So whatever the situation, Kovacic should not be on the pitch. It's huge moments. Michael Oliver, should have given him a second yellow at least if he didn't think, and the VAR didn't think the first challenge was a red. Obviously, the VAR wouldn't have checked for the second tackle because it wasn't a straight red for the threshold, so they can't check a yellow. But the referee should have awarded a yellow. I was with Howard Webb on Thursday, coming back from a European trip. Had a great chat with him about the VAR and everything surrounding it. So again, they've got this one wrong. The first challenge, I don't know what Peter and John thought in commentary, but I thought it was probably a yellow. But the big thing is the inconsistency. So, Steve, Spurs against Liverpool, we've seen Jota sent off for 2 yellow cards. One was hardly a touch, a trip, and the second one. So how
Robbie,
could Kovacic be on the pitch?
Yeah, I agree. And in the WSL today, Alex Greenwood got a second yellow card. Yeah, for taking about 4 seconds to take a free kick.
Ridiculous.
And I know they're different games and they're different decisions, but everyone will keep coming back to consistency. And the point that VAR was meant to give some of it and isn't giving any of it, is it?
Yeah, I agree. Listen, I know Howard Webb is working extremely hard to try and, make it better and, everything surrounding VAR. But again, Steve, like last Sunday, we'd be talking about big decisions where they're getting wrong, and it's not acceptable, I'm afraid. But we went on last night, Steve. Listen, everybody was asking where we were. Obviously, rugby was on. Myself and Chris are back tonight. 08085 909 693, Steve.
Thank you very much, Robbie. I'm just looking at the tunnel. Kovacic is still on the pitch by the looks of it. So that will be a very surprising start to the second half, which isn't far away at all. We have the Qatar Grand Prix coming up later on tonight as well. You'll be able to hear it on 5 Sports Extra. Coverage starts at 5:45. Rosanna Tennant is there for us. We already know who's won the Drivers' Championship, Rosanna, but Max Verstappen and Red Bull will be doing more celebrating today.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Max Verstappen took his 3rd world title yesterday after the sprint race, so it's a sprint weekend here in Qatar, and he starts on pole position this evening for the Qatar Grand Prix, and he was met by the whole of his team this afternoon when he arrived at track. They all clapped him into the F1 paddock, so spirits are high, and wouldn't it be great if he could sign off in Qatar with the Grand Prix victory? He's looking for his 14th win of the season. That would be the cherry on top this weekend.
Rosanna, thank you very much indeed. So Mateo Kovacic strolls out onto the pitch here at the Emirates. Pep Guardiola has not taken him off. He must be an evil look away from a second yellow card. It is that close. The Manchester City players out on the pitch here at the Emirates. The Arsenal players just a couple of moments away. Second half commentary here on 5 Live. Then 606 with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. So you can call now 08085 909 693. But we've got a huge 45 minutes of football between now and then. Your commentary team here at the Emirates, Peter Schmeichel and correspondent John Murray.
Yes, thank you, Steve. I think Peter, Robbie was very fair in his assessment of the 2 incidents involving Kovacic. The foul initially on Odegaard, then the next foul on Rice. And actually, when as Robbie said, as you said, VAR can't get involved in the second incident. So that is a good old-fashioned refereeing decision from Michael Oliver to deem that was not worthy of a second yellow.
And you have to be consistent in what you say and what you think. So I've always said I want strong referees on the pitch making decisions. He got this one wrong, but he didn't make that decision. So in a way, you just got to accept that. But I'm really, really surprised that Kovacic is back on the pitch. The only thing I can think is that Pep haven't seen those 2 fouls. That's the only thing I can think of.
Here's an interesting move from Mikel Arteta. It's Gabriel Martinelli coming on as a substitute at the start of the second half. After 5 matches out, there's only really a vague hint that he might be involved today, but he's come on to replace Trossard. Yep, must be Trossard who's come off. So Martinelli is on for the start of the second half, which begins now with the score: Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0. So Manchester City, as they were at the start of the match, as Ake clears away from the edge of his own penalty area, and it is brought forward by Foden. And Manchester City playing from left to right as we look from the dressing room side of the ground in this second half, in the sky blue shirts, white shorts, blue socks. Walker plays it long down the right. Gabriel plays it back to Raya, who gets it onto his right foot and clears away, with Alvarez sliding in there again just in the nick of time. Still thousands of people not yet back in their seats for the start of the second half. If Alvarez had been a millisecond quicker, that might have been another one that was deflected into the net, but still 0-0.
That was precisely a replay of that situation from the first half that ended up in the side netting. I mean, he's taking big chances in that goal, Raya, isn't he?
He is.
But I understand the substitution. So Trossard not really done anything in this game.
Yeah.
And there's been absolutely no action from the left-hand side of Arsenal.
Here they are from the right. Jesus playing it into Nketiah on the edge of the box. Ake was close, so it was prodded back centrally to Jorginho. I'll run you through the teams in a moment or two, but Martinelli on for Trossard. There's no Saka, by the way, if you've just switched on. And here's Martinelli immediately into the action with a couple of tricks against Kyle Walker. He looks as though he's desperate to get back into the action here. He can't wait to get going at Alvarez now, and uses Zinchenko. And already, almost, we've seen more on the left flank in the second half than we did in the first from Arsenal. Martinelli right for the ball, curls it in, but over the top of Gvardiol and through for a goal kick. And listen to the effect that play from Martinelli has had on the Arsenal fans in front of us.
Yeah, no, you're so right. 90 seconds into the second half, we've seen more action from the left-hand side. This is that cross from Martinelli now. It's an in-swinger with his right foot. It's inches away from Jesus getting a head on it, and that is the best thing that's happened from that left-hand side in the whole of this game.
Ederson playing another uber confident pass along his 6-yard box, even though Nketiah was very close to that, out to Walker in the right back position. But actually Manchester City have lost it, so Arsenal in the red shirts with the white sleeves, white shorts and white socks are attacking down the right hand side again. Jesus with the cross comes off Gvardiol, but he took the pace off it, and then he tried to play it off Jesus, and then Foden is more successful at playing it off White and out of play for a throw. So 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC. If you're on the move on this Sunday afternoon, you can listen via BBC Sounds as well. That's where you can listen to all of the BBC's live radio, listen back as well. You could go back and listen to any of our commentaries. If you're a Newcastle fan, you could go back and have a listen to Wednesday night all over again as City take the throw, and then a slice by Gvardiol as it comes back to him to concede a throw in down in the City left back area. So that is a cheap throw that Ben White is waiting to take. Again, Ben White, another of those players who couldn't force his way back into the England squad this week. White with the throw, headed along the 6-yard box. Ederson comes and scoops it up on the half volley. So the Arsenal team, Raya in goal. The back four is White, Saliba, Gabriel and Zinchenko. Then in midfield, Rice with Odegaard and Jorginho. They've both been booked, incidentally, Jorginho and Odegaard. And then Jesus on the right, Nketiah through the middle, and substitute Martinelli on the left. Saka not involved, he's not in the 20. And Manchester City, as they started the match, with Ederson in goal as he passes it out from the back. Back four of Walker, Diaz, Ake and Gvardiol. Then Bernardo Silva playing in the Rodri role in this match, with Lewis and Kovacic either side of him. And then Alvarez and Foden wide, and Haaland through the middle. Haaland, I don't think he's had a chance yet, has he, in the match? Here's Nketiah down into the full-back position, crosses it into Bernardo Silva. Corner for Arsenal from the left.
So far it's a really, really good substitution that Arteta has made. It's given life to the left-hand side of Arsenal. So this is the second attack they've had down this side already in the second half. And the first one resulted in a cross, the second one in a corner kick.
Yep, they've got new hope, the Arsenal supporters, with the arrival of the Brazilian. Martinelli takes this in, right across the 6 yards box. It's driven in by Jesus on the far side. That's blocked. Odegaard with a shot on the edge of the area after it was cleared out to him, but he got underneath it and he sent it probably 5 yards over the top left corner that he was trying to whip it into, so it's a goal kick.
So Martinelli takes an in-swinging cross, a corner kick. Ederson deals with it, but doesn't deal convincingly with it under pressure from Ben White. He gets his left hand to it, and it only just goes outside the goal, and Jesus is there at the back stick.
Rice does brilliantly to win the ball from Lewis, and that's a fine pass, and Martinelli with the shot from the angle, but it's straight at Ederson, who's able to calmly clutch the ball into his chest.
Well, 5 minutes in, 5 minutes of Martinelli, and it's a completely different game now. What a good opportunity again. Okay, the angle was a little bit tight, the shot was really good, but Ederson was in the right position to claim it.
So it is Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0. The Grand Prix will be on Sports Extra shortly, and with Verstappen having been confirmed as the world champion yesterday. You can hear that on 5 Live Sports Extra, and the lines are open for 606 to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton, as is the case almost every Saturday and Sunday night of the football season. So the line's open 08085 909 693 to book your call to talk to Robbie and Chris about the weekend's football action. Certainly there'll be chat, I'm sure, about Kovacic and the fact that he didn't receive a red card in the latter part of the first half, and we'll bring you the live interviews into 606 with the managers here, with Pep Guardiola and Mikel Arteta. Here is David Raya, the Arsenal goalkeeper. Long clearance downfield from him, hit it long, looking for Jesus. Gvardiol headed it forward, and then Foden was fouled, and it's a free kick to Manchester City.
Yeah, Man City are playing it precisely the same way as they did in the first game. They're patient, they're keeping it tight when they don't have the ball, and they're hoping for Haaland or Alvarez or Foden to do something when they have the ball. It's like Pep is quite happy with the draw here, and then just hoping to get something out of nothing.
Yeah, the draw will do. If they happen to win it, then great. Here's Rice for Arsenal. Eddie Nketiah now on the left wing, but Walker was very quickly back there, got himself into the right position and forcing Nketiah to play it back towards the halfway line. They'll be replicating that in England training this week. 5 Live, the place to listen to the 2 England matches, and plenty more as well, actually, during the next internationals. Ball in from the right hand side from Jesus, but that's all the way through to Ederson, who's able to pick it up. But Arsenal have spent more time in the Manchester City half in the early stages of this second half. 7 minutes played, but here's Walker up to the halfway line, back to Lewis, and then Walker all the way back to Diaz, who will just steer it with his left foot to Ederson, who strikes the pass to Ake, who knocks it up to Foden, and now Gvardiol is driving forward from the left back position all the way through the middle, but it runs away from him. Ball still on the edge of the Arsenal area, back to Raya, took a touch and passed it into the left back area to Gabriel, and now it's Arsenal who are playing out from the back with Zinchenko, one of the former Manchester City men in the Arsenal lineup. It really revitalised Arsenal, didn't it? It was very much part of the Arsenal rise and rise. Zinchenko and Jesus signed from Manchester City to come here to Arsenal.
Yeah, and again, it's something Pep has looked. You think, why a player like Zinchenko? Why? I mean, he's a fantastic left fullback, but Pep wants the 4 centre halves to play the back 4. He wants centre half back. That's his new thing, which is interesting. And you know, asking him about that after the Champions League final, he said that was a key this season. That was the 4 centre halves. So of course, Zinchenko come here and he's playing really well. And so, I mean, we've covered Jesus before. He has been red hot this season.
High foot from Zinchenko on Lewis, stabbed it out of play, got good contact on it, and it's a throw into Manchester City. Mikel Arteta gave the ball to Walker, who then stole probably 5 yards. Mikel Arteta is making that point, and the throw in for City has actually gone backwards to the edge of the own penalty area. Yes, Manchester City attempting to win the league for a 4th consecutive year. No club has done that in the entire history of the league since 1888. Ball on the far side, and Arsenal win a free kick for a foul on Gabriel Jesus. They've taken it quickly. Jesus is still on the ground. Scoop forward into the area. Eddie Nketiah. It's very tight. He's in a wide position. Manchester City have kept him wide, and then Nketiah has given it away. Unforced error to Foden, who skips away from the challenge. And then in come two challenges on Foden, but the ball has bounced for Manchester City. Bernardo Silva. Foden quickly back on his feet. Bernardo Silva now carrying it to the halfway line. Gives it into the centre circle to Lewis. Lewis is going all the way through the middle. Still going. I think he was nudged over by Martinelli. Still Lewis, but the whistle's gone. Lewis puts it in the net. Well, but the whistle had gone for the initial pullback by Martinelli, I think it was, on Lewis first of all. Lewis just was not going. He was like the Tasmanian devil there, wasn't he, Lewis? All the way through the middle.
Michael Oliver, now you have a decision to make. You got to book Martinelli for that.
Has to do.
You have to book him for this. He stopped a really, really good move. And if anybody's ever in doubt about Rico Lewis, what he's capable of, that was a fantastic one. He just kept going. I mean, Michael Oliver should have just looked at it for one more second, because he kept going, and all of a sudden he was 1-1 with David Raya. And now it's a free kick.
Well, there's been a lot of discussion.
35 yards away, which is, Man City's got nothing out of that. That was a great move and a fantastic individual play from Rico Lewis. And Martinelli's not been booked.
Hasn't? No, which is surprising.
So what's the point?
Well, 30 yards out, maybe a little bit more than that. It's very central. Foden actually takes it. They're headed away by Martinelli on the edge of the box. Foden then gets up, wins the header. Little touch from Alvarez, Kovacic, then forward from Diaz, but that will just bounce through into the penalty area. Raya wanted to get rid of that to Martinelli, but he waited. He delayed, much to the frustration of some of the Arsenal fans.
Martinelli was making a great run on the left-hand side into the Manchester City half, and Raya was just about to kick the ball to him when he realised the run would be up against Kyle Walker. So I'm thinking, okay, not this time.
Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0. 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC, and you can listen as well on the move via BBC Sounds. Full Monday Night Club tomorrow. Mark Chapman with Chris Sutton, Micah Richards and Rory Smith. A full house. Here is Saliba passing it over the halfway line to Jesus, but Gvardiol comes out with the ball to just nipped it away from Gabriel Jesus. It's been a good contest, that, and Gvardiol's winning it.
At the moment he's winning it, and at the moment Jesus is getting more and more frustrated and not desperate. He's trying different things now, difficult things that he don't have to do.
Ball up to Haaland on the halfway line, holds it up against Saliba, and then Arsenal, Manchester City give it to the left hand side. Gvardiol, Foden on the edge of the area. Alvarez could be in, but shoots into Gabriel, bounces back 25 yards out. Walker might have a go, but no, he's quickly closed down by Jorginho. So Bernardo Silva back in that central position, the Rodri position, turns, gives it to the left hand side. Arsenal did well actually to snuff out that Manchester City move. The alarm bells were ringing there. Walker, still 0-0. Walker just forward of the centre circle, a low ball through the middle to Haaland. Haaland slips as he tried to play it through, and so just presented the ball to Rice, who was able to say thank you very much.
As good as that counter-attack was for Man City, very quick, very direct, and Haaland was involved. You have to really pay credit to the discipline of the Arsenal players. They were quickly back. And within seconds they were established in the two banks of four, and then the two players all within 15 yards from the penalty or the 18-yard line. It's very impressive to watch.
Still 0-0. Haaland's not had a sniff yet, Peter. It's one of those games, isn't it? He's not scored in his last two appearances, which of course is a major drought for Erling Haaland. There was a great interview, I don't know whether you read it in the Daily Telegraph, with Jason Burt yesterday morning. Talks about how in Norway, when he doesn't score in a match, there's a screaming headline, goalless Haaland. But he says that's it, he's used to it. And he scored 199 goals now for all of his clubs and country. 199 goals.
That's a lot. And the thing about him is, when you're at games and you can actually watch him, what he does when he's not around the ball, he is incredibly patient, and to be patient in that position, you know, that's key, of course. Some strikers get very frustrated when they're not being passed the ball, but he just keeps working, keeps plucking away, and all of a sudden he's in the right place at the right time, and then the rest is history. 199 times.
Well, exactly. In I think 203 appearances, and he says he just zones out when he's not involved. He said he's almost zombie-like. It's well worth looking it up, actually. It was a long
amazing quote.
Yeah,
and that just tells you how young he is, because now that's going to stick. The zombie, right?
The zombie.
Don't use words like that if you get interviewed.
He was an ogre last season. He's a zombie now. Half an hour to go. Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0. Surprisingly, a match of relatively few chances, given the talent that there is on the field. City playing it forward with Diaz. Arsenal clear through Zinchenko. And now here's Odegaard halfway inside his own half. Martin Odegaard. Ben White rolls it forward towards Jesus, who sets off on a run. And he's got, Declan Rice on the right wing. I don't know how he's ended up there. Rice has actually passed it beyond White, but Rice was still able to pick up possession for Arsenal. And now Jorginho, his first Premier League start of the season. Jorginho. Havertz is on the bench, Vieira as well, but Jorginho decided by Mikel Arteta he's the man for this particular job with his experience, the Italian international. We'll have to see if he's going to be involved for Italy. He's not been in the squad under Spalletti. Here is Zinchenko takes the ball back towards the halfway line. Arsenal have got possession, but Manchester City, it's one of those spells where they're just sitting off Arsenal here, and they're saying to them, come on, what are you going to do with it? Rice playing it down the right hand side to White level with the edge of the penalty area. Jesus flicks it forward to White inside the box, then to Odegaard on the edge of the box, shoots, that's deflected, comes back to Jorginho actually, and now Jesus again cutting infield, stabs it low. Zinchenko, he's closed down, so here it is now, finding its way to Martinelli up against Kyle Walker crouching down, then it's back to Zinchenko from Martinelli. Zinchenko left foot across to the back post, Gvardiol gets his head to that, it's nodded out by White to the right hand side. Jesus now, the angle's tight, and 3 Manchester City players converged on him and blocked it behind for a corner.
Yeah, great little touch by Jesus to take it into a crossing position. But I have to say, this all came from a great little cross from Zinchenko. He didn't cross it first time. He took a little touch that gave him a better angle into the box. And then Jesus' little touch to his right foot was very, very good. It's a corner kick for Arsenal.
Still 0-0. Odegaard with the corner into the near post that is half-headed away for Manchester City. Further clearance by Walker, and then Zinchenko underneath it, launches it high, and it bounces, actually didn't quite bounce into the stand to our left, and it's a goal kick. And a number of substitutes are off to warm up.
In defending, neither team is leaving any space. There simply are any pockets or anywhere to pass the ball. So you had the two blocks of 4 and 4, and then 2 for both teams, and all they do when they're attacking this block is to pass it around.
Clearance from Ederson, but Arsenal have got possession again. Almost 20 minutes played. Lines are open for the 606 phone in with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. 08085 909 693 to book your call. You can read all about the action today on the football pages of the BBC Sport website. Watch it tonight, Match of the Day 2, or anytime on the iPlayer, and then download the 5 Live Football Daily podcast in the morning. Nedum Anua as part of it every Monday morning throughout the course of this season now. So that is for free. Subscribe for free from BBC Sounds. Manchester City are going to make a couple of changes now, and we are going to see Mateus Nunes, the recent signing from Wolves, and also the recent signing from Rennes, Jeremy Doku. So it's going to be a double change. Pep Guardiola has decided that with Arsenal having had a decent first 17-18 minutes of the second half, he's going to make that change. However, his team are coming forward, and it's given by Alvarez to Foden. Now Haaland near the edge of the area, bounced off him, but he's still able to give it to Gvardiol, who's got that all wrong. Hence the cat calls from the Arsenal fans. Nevertheless, Walker was able to keep it in play. Gvardiol actually put his hands to his mouth. It's going to be a triple change. Is that John Stones? It is, who's also going to make his comeback Manchester City now though with possession inside the Arsenal half. Ake, square from him. Here's Kovacic, absolutely certain he'll be one of the players to come off. Then back to Bernardo Silva, and then Diaz. Arsenal have got everyone back behind the ball as Manchester City attack towards the clock end, the famous clock hanging high above that penalty area. Still Manchester City in possession, but it's all triangles in the middle of the half. Diaz though is going to curl it in. Lewis into the area, stretching, heads it via a deflection behind the far post, and it's a corner to Manchester City.
Again, they're leaving no space to pass the ball into, so it's literally just moving the ball around in midfield and then hoping for an opportunity to cross the ball. And when you cross the ball from inside halfway into the half, it's not very effective. You can't really get any purchase on the ball, and Rico Lewis didn't, but he won a corner kick.
Yep. City then with the corner. It's swung in by Foden. Raya comes and gets a really good punch on that. It's right down his throat, metaphorically speaking, but he punched it away, and then the ball is being passed back by Walker, bouncing past to Ederson.
Top goalkeeping that was.
Raya.
A really good corner kick with pace, in swinging towards the goal. Came out and he punched it a long way up the pitch, and now the ball is with Bernardo Silva in his own half.
Peter Schmeichel, who knows a thing or two about goalkeeping, just like this Manchester City team. You were part of a Manchester United team that won 3 titles in a row. There's only 5 clubs have done that. Manchester United did it twice. Arsenal were one of them, way back in the Herbert Chapman years. And now this Manchester City team after the treble last season. Here's Kovacic in the centre circle. Bernardo Silva now, the bearded Bernardo Silva to the bearded Diaz, who's 15 yards inside Arsenal territory. Now clean-shaven Rico Lewis. I'm not sure if he's old enough to grow a beard yet, Rico Lewis. Bernardo Silva away from Nketiah on the halfway line. City just keeping possession, and that's what they've done over the course of recent minutes. Again, Diaz. Odegaard is trying to change that. He's chased them all the way over to the right wing. But Manchester City with Walker and Bernardo Silva, Pep Guardiola will be purring over this. His team keeping possession. Arsenal can't get the ball back. Now it's on the left-hand side with Kovacic. Back to Bernardo Silva again. This period of City possession continues. Lewis through the middle. Lewis with a pacey pass. Foden. Haaland's almost onto that. Only half cleared by White. Still in the Arsenal penalty area. Foden hasn't got enough space, and it bounces down, and Saliba's able to pass it out to the right-hand side, where Gabriel Jesus wins the throw-in, and Arsenal finally have some possession.
Well, it's a throw-in, so let's see how long they're going to keep the ball for. But Man City, they look to be quite happy with just keeping the ball, not asking too much, not pushing it too much. They're keeping players back, and it looks like they're happy with the draw here.
Well, the players who are being substituted, the 3, Rico Lewis, who's been excellent, Mateo Kovacic, who could easily have been sent off in the first half had things worked out differently, and Julian Alvarez is the other. I was wondering who the third one was going to be.
I think all 3 of them make sense. Rico Lewis he's been so active, run. He's a young lad. We're getting into the period of the game where you need cool head, you need some experience, and then of course on that you take Kovacic out. He has experience, but not a cool head. He's a lucky boy. I will repeat that. He should not have been on the pitch. And let's see how they line it up now. Walker, I can see Kyle Walker is questioning Pep Guardiola. What are we doing? It looks like John Stones going in the middle, yeah.
And this is John Stones making his comeback. Walker carrying the ball almost up to the edge of the area. Doku's actually on the right-hand side here. Jeremy Doku for the time being, but Zinchenko does well. Wouldn't let him pass into the penalty area. Put in the tackle, and Arsenal clear. Well played, Zinchenko. Headed forward for Manchester City. So John Stones, this is only his 2nd appearance of the season. With the injury that he's had, they've really eased him back. Played in the Community Shield against Arsenal. That's his only previous appearance. Passes it to Bernardo Silva. Doku again. Doku against Zinchenko. Goes for the byline. Little shimmy. Back onto his left foot. Doku's ball across is cleared away by Jorginho, but it comes back again. I think there's every chance that Doku could add a bit of pace into this match.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing that we saw with Martinelli when he came on. A little bit of a freshness, a different thing, and already now he's had the ball twice and crossed the ball once, which is more than has happened in the last 40 minutes.
Yes, had a similar effect when he came on in Leipzig in Germany in the Champions League in midweek, and indeed scored in that match. Arsenal win the ball back, still 0-0 between the teams that finished first and second in the Premier League last season. So this result would keep Tottenham at the top of the table. Who'd have thought, Peter? Tottenham at this stage after 8 matches.
Yeah, coming into the international break, that will that would be fantastic for them.
They'll be able to sit and look at the table.
I have to say they did start really, really well last season as well. I think before yesterday they were exactly the same. Maybe they were a goal better last year. So really no surprise. This is about, can they keep it up?
In black and white they're very similar, but in real life they're very different. Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0. Still plenty of time for either team to win this match. 20 minutes to go, and once we wrap everything up, the 6:06 form-in will follow. Martinelli receives the ball from Gabriel and was fouled by Walker. Again, the Arsenal fans are on their feet. Walker, just a little foul, 15 yards inside Arsenal territory, and it's only a free kick.
Yeah, I think Michael Oliver's forgotten his yellow cards in the dressing room. That could easily have been a yellow card, but not given.
See, Arsenal are going to make a triple change as well. Peter Tomiyasu, the right back, or the full back, is coming on. Havertz, and the third Arsenal player we'll see in a moment. He's just been hidden by Declan Rice. As ball goes back to Raya. Then Arsenal passing it out from their own defensive third. Raya again is being closed down by Mateus Nunes, and then I thought Walker might have been holding Nketiah there. It's Thomas Partey who's the third man who's coming on. Thomas Partey who was an unused substitute in the Champions League on Tuesday. Zinchenko puts in a challenge on Doku. Rice then forward towards Odegaard, but Mateus Nunes was right there with him and took the ball away from him. Next time the ball goes out of play, Arsenal will make those changes. Into the last 20 minutes we go. Is there going to be a goal? Is there going to be a winner? With Bernardo Silva turning now on the halfway line. Remember, Arsenal have not won even 1 point against Manchester City in the Premier League since Mikel Arteta became the manager. Jesus carrying it forward, but it bounces onto Walker, and Walker recovers well there. Mikel Arteta frustrated on the sidelines, but it is Kyle Walker who's brought the ball forward but checks back and gives it to Ake.
How good is Kyle Walker? How quick is he? And everything he does has a purpose. Keeps the ball for his team. You know, he's running lost causes. He's chasing balls. He's good at tackling. The only little blemish was before that foul that could have got him booked. Apart from that, he has been fantastic today.
Yeah, and over the course of recent times, I feel like I've seen him play against the very best left wingers in the game currently, and Walker almost invariably is the match of them. Here's Foden playing it out to Doku, who is now on the left-hand side. Doku running at White. Haaland's in the middle. Still Doku to the byline, tries to cross, but sliding. Ben White puts it behind for a corner. He certainly brought something to them, Doku.
He has pace and a willingness to challenge. And then, of course, changing between right and left is going to ask questions of this very, very disciplined Arsenal team that straight away losing the ball will go down in that tight block. It's not necessarily a low block. The line can be like halfway up the half. So it's very difficult to get through that. There isn't a lot of space, but he has definitely come on and asked those questions.
Still with a corner to defend, Mikel Arteta is not making these changes. So here is the corner for Manchester City. Raya comes, makes a good catch, swung in from the left-hand side by Mateus Nunes, right into the gloves of Raya, who then underarms it out to Zinchenko. Zinchenko passes it to Martinelli. That's where they wanted it to go, the Arsenal fans. He takes on Walker now, and Bernardo Silva cuts in field. Martinelli now playing it square to Odegaard. Rice is making himself available. Odegaard goes for goal from 25 yards. Wrong decision, wild shot, 5 or 6 yards over the top, and here come the changes for Arsenal now, Peter.
That move was all about Martinelli and his strength, and it's great to see him back after, was it 3 weeks now he's not played. What a player he is. He was trying to take Kyle Walker on in a one-to-one run, but realised he's not going to win it. He cut inside, nutmeg Bernardo Silva, and passed the ball into Ødegaard, who from 25 yards had a wild shot. It was well over the bar, but at least it was an attempt, which attempts have been far and few between.
So Thomas Partey makes his return. He's not played in the last 7 matches, the Ghanaian international, but he's recovered from his groin injury, and here's the cheer to welcome him back. Jorginho is off, Zinchenko is off, and who is the other Arsenal player who came? Eddie Nketiah through the middle. So Kai Havertz is now going to play as the man through the middle for Arsenal, which he's barely played. So centre forward Kai Havertz. Normally Mikel Arteta's played him in this sort of left-sided midfield position.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity for him. He started nearly every game, and he's had opportunity after opportunity to both score, but also show what he can. But to come on in this game and get the winner, that would be a great opportunity for him. He now plays in that number 9 position.
Yeah, I thought with when he came on, wondered if Jesus might move central, but no. It is Havertz in the middle, Jesus still on the right-hand side, still 0-0. Odegaard inside the penalty area, ball played to Jesus. Jesus plays it past Gvardiol, but Gvardiol did well actually, just allowed the ball to run, was able to get it away. Doku's in there as well for Manchester City. But the Belgian international is dispossessed, and Arsenal have it back on the right-hand side. Odegaard down into the full-back position, but then Doku recovering, puts in the challenge, and it bounces away behind to corner to Arsenal.
It's a very, very nervous atmosphere inside the Emirates today, and with 15 minutes to go, the Arsenal supporters are sensing something could happen from this corner kick.
They are. Remember the late win against Manchester United, the late win in added time.
John, behave.
But we're still relatively early yet, Peter. We're got 15 minutes almost to play. Corner for Arsenal. Odegaard in. Just over the head of Havertz and headed away for Manchester City. Partey picks it up for Arsenal. Rice looking to get it back near the dead ball line, but Doku's done well again. And with Rice, he managed to get to the ball first. Now I think was tripped, sent flying. No, the referee says no. It's a throw in for Arsenal. It is only on the far side of the ground, but I thought Odegaard had caught him, clipped him, sent him flying, but it's a throw in. White will take it back for Arsenal towards the halfway line. Still goalless. 5 live in the World Service. Don't go anywhere. It's not been the best. It's not hit the heights. It's not given us what we hoped that it might do. But it ain't over yet.
It's been very, very tactical, hasn't it?
It has. Between these two old colleagues. Gabriel now to the left-hand side, where Tomiyasu is taken over at left back from Zinchenko. Martinelli now back to Rice centrally, but it's all rather pedestrian again here. Manchester City behind the ball. Thomas Partey just shuffles it forward, gives it to his left to Rice. Declan Rice now near the left corner of the penalty area, then to Tomiyasu. Martinelli again, right-footed ball, it's driven in towards the back post. It's taken down by the right shoulder of Gabriel Jesus. That was clever, but then he loses possession, gives it away to Mateus Nunes on the edge of the area, and then Doku is fouled by Odegaard, and it's a free kick to Manchester City. I've actually only made one note in the second half of meaning, and that was that early shot from Martinelli. Everything else has been wide, over the bar, or whatever. Let's get an update from the Qatar Grand Prix, which is underway. Harry Benjamin.
Not even one lap completed and a safety car is out, because the two Mercedes have come to blows into turn 1. They've crashed together. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. Russell still in this race. Hamilton out of it, still under safety car conditions. Verstappen leads.
And it is on Sports Extra, the commentary, Qatar Grand Prix on Sports Extra. And then Fiji, Portugal at the Rugby Union World Cup after that later on in the evening, when Australia's expulsion from the tournament could be confirmed. Throw into Arsenal. Cheers because Manchester City passed it out of play. We've got 10 minutes to go here at the Emirates Stadium. The sun has just disappeared for the time being, but no one's going anywhere. Arsenal playing it back towards the edge of their own penalty area. Looks like a summer crowd in front of us who've come here today. Many of them, like me, might have walked through Highbury Fields to get here today, which was glorious in the sunshine. Manchester City centrally with Mateus Nunes. Nunes then back to Kyle Walker. Mateus Nunes, just his 7th appearance for Manchester City after his signing from Wolves. When Manchester City brought those substitutes on, that was round about £150 million worth of footballers they brought on, Stones and Doku and Mateus Nunes together. And here he is, Nunes, the Portuguese international, number 27, very languid in his style, just turns and knocks the ball back to Ruben Dias behind him.
And how Manchester City have organised themselves with them 3 substitutions. John Stones has gone into the Rodri position. Bernardo Silva's gone out to his, where I think he's the best or most effective is on the right hand side. He's actually just cutting inside now. Foden's come up. He's actually playing next to Haaland when Man City have the ball, and then Doku's on the left.
Here is Mateus Nunes, glides around Havertz, gets the ball back from Haaland, and then excellent challenge by Rice. Declan Rice, just when Mateus Nunes was looking to Haaland, Rice slid in, took the ball as clean as a whistle. But Manchester City win it back on the halfway line. Here is Doku again with his quick feet. Back to the quick feet of Kyle Walker. Even at the age of 33, Walker plays the ball infield. Here's Mateus Nunes again. He's played the game at walking pace, Nunes, for the most part since he's come on, but he was off and running there when Declan Rice put in that challenge, Peter. Yeah,
and what a tackle that was. He was actually in on goal. Half a second more and he would have had an opportunity to shoot. It was a great tackle, like Jesus now. Foden gave the ball away.
Yeah, Jesus back on Foden. That was a good tackle. That's been the story of the game. Very well matched, actually. And now Bernardo Silva. Mateus Nunes.
I said this before, it's very tactical. As soon as either of the team don't have the ball, they go down to their blocks, which is, it's set in stone. It's 4, 4 and 2, and it's distance between the front 2 and the back 4 is nothing. And both teams are doing that.
At the very least, after the league matches last season, 3-1 here to Manchester City, where Arsenal did have their moments, but Manchester City in the end won it comfortably. And then the 4-1 in Manchester in April. Arsenal, Mikel Arteta, were it to stay like this, I think he would feel that they've given as good as they've got, almost. Gabriel takes the ball away from Haaland, might have just been nudged by them, but as he cleared the ball downfield, it drifted out of play. So Manchester City throw. 6 minutes
Haaland
to go.
has hardly been in the game, and he's one of those players,
Here is the throw from Walker, and he finds Haaland. Foden on the right, and then in comes the challenge. Rice appealing for it. Gauntlet, goal kick. The feeling was that it took a touch off Foden, who's not complaining, Peter.
No, he's not. Again, a great work by Declan Rice. When you want your team to play as tactical as Arsenal are playing today, and not as your first priority, not trying to give anything away. I mean, you cannot find a better player to have in your team than Declan Rice. He has been outstanding today.
Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0. Gvardiol after this long goal kick from Raya. I'm sure Arsenal supporters listening to this, when you were saying Peter Haaland's hardly been involved in the game, they'll have been saying, Peter Schmeichel, don't say that.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. He's that type of player. You can just, every time there is an opportunity where he sees that he could be played in, he's looking for it. He's communicating with the players. He's such a threat where many other strikers would probably be a little bit down by now.
Yeah, not him. Arsenal with it on the right hand side. Manchester City defending now. Here's Odegaard. He'll be going off on international duty with Erling Haaland over the course of the next couple of weeks or so. Back it goes to Thomas Partey, back in Arsenal colours again, and then played back towards the halfway line to Saliba. Thomas Partey, this is all on the Arsenal right. Then infield towards Odegaard. Odegaard going around John Stones, but there's a challenge from Doku as well, and it's out of play. and it is out for a throw. Long throw into the penalty area. Havertz lays it off. Odegaard inside the box. Odegaard though forced to turn. Jesus inside the penalty area. He goes down. Big shouts from the crowd. Jesus raised his arms, but not too much from the players on the field. But Michael Oliver is saying, hang on, don't take this throw yet. I'm just going to get a bit of advice. Gabriel Jesus, who is in the area, and the question is whether, well, I think possibly he ran into Ake's outstretched leg.
He absolutely ran into traffic, and it's actually a really good nick on the ball by Ake. He takes it away from his, just before he's about cut it back to, I think it was Havertz. Good defending by Nathan Ake, and the right decision by Michael Oliver.
All of these Arsenal fans in here, well aware this recent history that Arsenal have got under Arteta of scoring late goals. Whether it was that Manchester United match, and time again, and Arteta is trying to whip up the crowd down there. It's a Manchester City throw. Remember the Reece Nelson goal last season against Bournemouth? There have been plenty of others as well. And Mikel Arteta is complaining about where the throw has been taken, and then Gabriel gets up very high above Erling Haaland, who's saying surely that was a foul, but it's out for a throw.
I thought it was a foul
on Haaland.
I'm surprised it wasn't given. He was literally climbing on his shoulder to win the header.
Pep Guardiola's making the same point to the assistant referee Stuart Burt, just down in front of us. Arsenal 0, Manchester City 0. We're into the last 5 minutes now. This tight match, Manchester City, who had the big chances early on in the match, didn't take them, and since then really it's been tight. Long ball through the middle, Tomiyasu heads it across, Havertz chests it down, plays it back, Martinelli right foot, deflected in, big deflection, Ederson could do nothing about it, it came off Nathan Ake, and Arsenal have the lead against Manchester City. A tight match might just have been decided by a huge deflection. We're in the 87th minute, and it's Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0.
Well, it's a ball up to Tomiyasu, who hits it down to Kai Havertz, who could have hit the ball first time. He's on the edge of the box. He doesn't. He lays it up for Martinelli, who I have to say he is a bit lucky. It hits Nathan Ake and completely diverged direction, and Ederson can't do anything about that. If anything, I mean, Arsenal have been slightly better. Not that they've played brilliantly, but they have tried more in the second half. And I'm not sure. We're just watching the replay now. It's a great ball from Thomas Partey. Tomiyasu heads it down to Kai Havertz, who lays it up, as I said.
I think it's a double deflection,
It actually hits Ake on the head, doesn't it?
I think it hits Foden, then hits Ake. It glances off Foden, I think. And then, as you say, Peter, hits Ake on the side of the head. Yeah. So it's a double deflection. Yeah. And Ederson was going the wrong way. There's nothing he could do about it. And those are the breaks.
And that's a bit of luck you need now and again. You've got to chase it. And, they have. And Martinelli, we said this right from the beginning of the second half. He has changed the game for Arsenal. He was very, very busy the first 10, 15 minutes. Got a bit quiet. And now he pops up, back from injury, and scores, and it's 1-0 Arsenal.
Scores his first goal of the season. And even though it took a double deflection, I think the initial shot was on target. Martin Keogh's down in front of us. Martin's on his feet, can't contain his excitement. Arsenal might be about to beat Manchester City for the first time in 13 Premier League matches. Indeed, the first time they've taken points against them. Foden loses out. He's claiming that he was fouled. But Arsenal take the ball away. Foden's left complaining. Guardiola's flicking his hand out again and again in frustration. And Manchester City are facing the possibility of losing 2 successive league matches. Pep Guardiola's walked all across to John Brooks, the 4th official. He's making the point about the challenge on Haaland earlier and the one on Foden just there. Point is, they're 1-0 down now.
I think Michael Oliver in this game has tried to keep it flowing, and it's a top game, not be the man in the centre, the one that people are talking about. Unfortunately, he never gave that second yellow card to Kovacic, so he will be talked about. But he has tried very hard to let things go.
Plenty to talk about with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton on the 5 Live 606 phone in. Lines are open 08085 909 693 to talk to them. We'll be swinging 606 into action as soon as we've rounded everything up. But we could have Arsenal going level on points with Tottenham at the top of the table. Tottenham would remain top on goals scored. Havertz, who was involved in the goal, he set it up for Martinelli. Here he is, Martinelli, infield towards Tomiyasu. Partey, little pass from him to the right to Odegaard. I mean, they've certainly not been at their flowing best, Arsenal, today, but it was a game plan. It was a Mikel Arteta game plan without Saka, without Martinelli from the start, and they've managed to ride their luck to an extent with those early chances Manchester City had. But here they come again, looking for a second goal, which certainly would wrap it up. John Stones in there with a challenge though. Doku, he's dispossessed. Then it bounces away, and we will have 4 minutes of added time. Only 4 minutes.
Only 4 minutes. That's unusual, isn't it?
That's light by modern standards.
This was the master against his pupil, and it was billed as, you know, the tactical battle. Who can come up with, you know, something that breaks the deadlock? And I have to say, the goal is all about the substitutions that Mikel Arteta he made. It was Thomas Partey who crossed the ball, long ball up to Tomiyasu. Both of them just arrived on the pitch, and then Kai Havertz received the ball from Tomiyasu.
Stones, as Manchester City tried to do something about this. Then Bernardo Silva, Foden, left foot pass, swings it cross field. Doku gets it under control. We're in added time at the end. Manchester City facing another defeat after Molineux last weekend. Here they are losing at the Emirates, and that's overhit the pass through by Gvardiol. There's no way Doku could catch that. It rattles into the electronic changing hoardings, and it's a goal kick.
Yeah, he's quick, Doku, but he's not that quick. But let me just finish that. So when Tomiyasu passed it to Havertz, who then in turn passed it to Martinelli, those were the 4 players that Mikel Arteta brought on in the second half. So you could say the pupil outdid the master today, if this is the final result.
Well, these Arsenal supporters, listen to them. They know that Manchester City have won 12 consecutive Premier League matches against Arsenal. They know that Arsenal have not won in 15 league matches against Manchester City. Not since December 2015, when Manuel Pellegrini was the Manchester City manager. That's the last time Arsenal beat Manchester City in the Premier League. But this would feel big for Arsenal if they can hang on to this. Tight match decided by a twice deflected goal. Jesus forward towards Havertz on the right hand side. Kai Havertz gets his head down into the full back position. In added time, is it time to go to the corner flag? And the German international decides yes, very much it is, and he's taking it down. Then he goes down under the challenge from Gvardiol. Doku involved as well, and the referee has given the free kick Manchester City's way. And then Gabriel Jesus has thrown himself down as Ederson went to get the ball from him. Brazilian international teammates, those two, and Jesus has, Michael Oliver's gone across just to say how he is. He's actually got the yellow card out for, well, presumably for simulation. Must be.
I think he gave it to Ederson, to be fair.
Did he?
Yeah, I think he did.
Let's have a look. Was it Jesus or was it Ederson who was yellow carded?
I think he gave it to Ederson. He was waiting for Jesus to run back, and then he gave it to Ederson.
Free kick taken. What have we had? We're in the last minute. We're in the 4th minute of added time. So therefore, it's running out for Manchester City. Haaland, though, gets a poke on it, but Ake couldn't get there, and it's leathered out of play on the halfway line. Volleyed away by Saliba. Arsenal seconds away from victory now. This would see Arsenal remaining unbeaten in the Premier League this season. They'd go above City. Ball pumped forward by Ederson, but it's bounced all the way through to Raya, who's controlling the ball in his 6-yard box. He's still running it away across the 6-yard box, and then picks it up when Haaland finally gets there. We've got 20 seconds to go, Peter.
Yeah, well, it's all about, you have to win matches and to win the Premier League or to win trophies, you've got to ride your luck at times. And you have to say that, you know, against Manchester City today, it's a very even game, very tactical affair. Not a lot has happened. And of course, a goal it got that lucky deflection, and they're winning this game 1-0. We're past the 94th minute.
There it is. That is the noise of the Emirates celebrating Arsenal's win over the champions Manchester City. Mikel Arteta's first Premier League win over Manchester City as the Arsenal manager. At the 8th attempt against Pep Guardiola, they turned to one another, and actually Mikel Arteta just walking ahead of Guardiola now as they head out onto the field. But Manchester City have lost 2 in a row in the Premier League, the defending champions. Only the 3rd time that's happened under Pep Guardiola. And the winner coming late, as Arsenal like to do it, in the 87th minute. That double deflected goal, but Martinelli nevertheless scoring it. And Arsenal, despite no Bukayo Saka, despite being up against it for large parts of this game, it's Arsenal who've won and are level with Tottenham at the top of the league, Peter Schmeichel.
Yes, and I think it's difficult to talk about did they deserve that, did anyone deserve to win this game, but it's what football at the very highest level is. It was so tactical, nothing really happened. The 2 very low blocks of just defending what was already there at one point, and then the ball just being distributed around that. And then, of course, it took a little bit of luck, well, a lot of luck, in fact, for the deadlock to be broken. Arsenal, they have been riding their luck. This game against Manchester City, the game against Manchester United as well. Don't forget that. A disallowed goal very late in the game to Manchester United, only for Arsenal to go up, and again with Declan Rice scoring a deflected goal to take it to 2-1 and then eventually 3-1 in added on time. And that's what you have to do at times in order to win the trophies, the leagues. You have to look back, or you will look back and say, whoa, we were a little bit lucky in that game and that game. But the fact of the matter is that Arsenal took the opportunity that was there today, and therefore you can say, yes, they deserve to win.
I noticed Pep Guardiola going across to Declan Rice of the Arsenal supporters, and someone said something to Kyle Walker there on the halfway line, one of the Arsenal staff, and Kyle Walker did not like that and has actually gone across to and whoever it is on the Arsenal staff has now got his hands up and is saying, I didn't say anything. But Kyle Walker's very unhappy about this, and the Haaland is backing him up as well. And now Kyle Walker is suggesting that he doesn't want any of the security staff down there putting hands on him, and they've disappeared now out of our sight and down the tunnel. But just a little, I mean, that actually is very like what happened during the course of the game. There's been niggle in this match, no question. And Declan Rice now can't help but whip the crowd up as he leaves the field as well. But there we are. I think just about everyone's off the pitch now. And Arsenal 1-0 winners over Manchester City.
Arsenal players strolling now, chests out down the tunnel here at the Emirates. Arsenal fans just streaming by us here on their way out of the stadium. Open mouthed, some of them a couple of moments ago, singing The Angel, North London Forever, the Arsenal anthem. Some of them shirtless. I imagine that'll be for the last time this season. They are drinking in every single moment. Peter Schmeichel, we talked before the game about a community shield. Would it make a difference? Was it any kind of statement? That was a statement. That is a massive, massive win for Arsenal. Doesn't matter if it's a deflection, doesn't matter if it's an own goal. You can look at the people around here and they believe they've cracked it.
Today was a statement, absolutely yes. I think some of the results they've had this season, they've been big statements. This was achieved without Saka. I think that's a big statement in itself. Someone who's played so many games consecutively, he's injured, he's out for the first time, and he's been so instrumental in everything good that's happened, assists and goals, and he wasn't there today. I have to say, it wasn't a great play game. It was very tactical, and it was clear that Arteta desperately wanted to beat Pep Guardiola, and Pep Guardiola desperately wanted to beat Arteta. And at the end of the day, Arteta comes out of this as the winner, personally as a winner. He made 4 substitutions, and all 4 of them were involved in the goal. The pass that The pass to Tomiyasu was from Thomas Partey. Tomiyasu passed it to Kai Howard, who could have had a shot. He did, and he took it down and laid it up for Martinelli. 4 substitution. He changed the course of the game by doing that. And of course, scoring a goal like that, winning 1-0. Arteta is a big winner today, for sure.
And we can talk to a blue in the face, and probably have done over the course of the last few months, about Arsenal and strength in depth, and that being one of the major issues that stopped them winning the title last season. That's the perfect response. 4 players come on, they're all involved, and one of them scores the winning goal.
Yeah, I mean, you only have to think Nelson's on the bench, Vieira's on the bench, Smith Rowe is still on the bench. They didn't come on today, you know. So you can talk about Arsenal not having the strength in depth to compete for the crown. They have still an awful lot of work to be done. There's still what happened last season when they were so good at this point of the season. They were running away with it. In fact, they were running away from everybody. But they were caught up, and eventually you were thinking, wait, maybe another team could catch them up as well. They picked up towards the end of the season. That's an experience they have to use in a positive way this season. But we're in October. I know it feels like we're in May already because of the weather. But there is so much football to be played. There's Christmas to contend with. There is February, March, you know, the difficult months when you need to bring it over the line. But today, I mean, so much confidence can come from this. They took that tactical battle to probably the master of tactical battles, Pep Guardiola, and they came out of it smelling of roses.
Boxing Day 2018, speaking of Christmas, the last time that Manchester City lost consecutive Premier League games. The Manchester City fans just opposite us here in the corner at the Emirates. They stayed and they really supported their team even as they were deflated at the full-time whistle. And this is probably the biggest compliment I can give to Arsenal, Peter, is that yes, it was a deflected goal, but the reason that goal was the winning goal is that throughout the course of the 90 minutes, I can't remember a better chance than the chance Ake had for Manchester City in the first few minutes.
That's very, very true. It came from a corner kick where Arsenal actually had switched a little bit off. So Guardiola popped up at the back stick, and I think it was Declan Rice or was it Gabriel who saved it on the line. And then it was cleared and the cross came straight back in, and they weren't organised in that situation. But that was so early in the game, and basically from then on, Arsenal just took charge of their defence, kept it very, very tight. With that low block, when they were defending, when Man City had the ball in their half, you had the back 4 on the 18-yard line, and 2-3 yards further forward you had the next line of 4, and then 5 yards further forward you had the last 2. There was no room left. I mean, you think about the pace that is in Manchester City's team. There's no way they could utilize that. And I think, am I correct in saying that this is actually the 3rd defeat for Man City in 4 games? So the only win is that game, the win in Leipzig. So you can talk about a period where Pep probably has got to rethink a couple of things. I won't call it a crisis. If you're having a bad spell, it's absolutely the right time in the year to have that. And you know, from that you can take lessons and you can adjust and you can go forward from there. But Pep's going to have all of his players away on international duty for 2 weeks now. He's going to hate that, absolutely hate that.
Normally it's ominous when Manchester City have a spell like this, which they do, you know, quite often during the course of a season. There will be a little spell where they lose a couple in the space of a few games. Normally that is ominous for who they then play next. You know, it's very often, isn't it, they respond to that because that's what they are.
Yeah, and but this time, you know, it's the Premier League stopped because of obviously international duty, so there's going to be 2 weeks. 2 weeks of no Manchester City football, 2 weeks of no working with his players, and as I said just there, he's going to hate that. He's going to have his players in so many places, in the different places in the world. They're going to be travelling, you know, and all of that, you know, he's going to think about that so much during the next 2 weeks. I feel a bit sorry for him.
Peter, brilliant to have you with us as always. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, thank you very much.
Peter Schmeichel and correspondent John Murray with your commentary here. Tonight is going to be a good night for Arsenal fans who are level with Tottenham.